how to calculate ROI on AI voice agents. That is one of the most common questions I get from business owners that are handling a huge volume of conversations on a daily basis. And that's exactly what we are going to break down today in this video. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Rhomays. I run Netzo AI, a platform that allows businesses to automate all client interactions across all channels with AI agents. If that sounds interesting to you, well, feel free to click the links down below. Now, when it comes to the ROI, traditionally in the customer service space, there's been this main metric that everyone tends to optimize towards. That metric is called deflection rate. Now, here's the problem. When you are essentially deflecting conversations, it will pile up the number of 1, clients that churn, 2, clients that don't buy because they weren't handled properly, 3, tickets that will pile up because a lot of them will come back again and open more and more and more conversations, and then you'll end up in a place where everything looks like a big mess. So how can you avoid that? Well, you can avoid that by starting to optimize towards resolution rate. The idea is that the AI agent cannot only, of course, identify if it's an existing or a new user. They can do that by, well, doing a lookup to the CRM system or to any customer management tool that you have, then answering all the questions they might have, and then, of course, take next actions. The next actions would be, if it's a qualified buyer, well, either booking a direct appointment or sending them a quote. And if it's not a qualified buyer, well, then gently disqualifying them by sending them an email or a resource that can help them out in any way, shape, or form. That is how a full customer journey would be handled. That's why at Netzo we do exactly that. We chunk it down by customer journeys. In this case, it's stranger to appointment booked or stranger to disqualified lead, right? Of course, there are a lot of other moving parts that need to exist. One of them is updating the CRM with the right information. The other one is analyzing, of course, the conversation sentiment and also extracting any additional information, enriching all the data that was captured, so on and so forth. So if you want to start measuring ROI, it's important that you understand what is your resolution rate on the current system that you have in place, if you have any. And then you can also measure how much does it cost you a conversation. Even if you're tracking resolution rate, that alone will put you on the 1% of companies that are actually doing it. If you also track the cost per conversation, then you have a good benchmark to measure against the system you're going to implement once you're ready for it. And here's the key thing. After hundreds and hundreds of conversations with business owners in every type and every scale that you can imagine, I noticed the following. A lot of them are not tracking the cost per conversation. It doesn't matter if it's sales or customer service, it will hurt you. Why? Because even if you have a successful system, you will not be able to measure against it. On the other side, if you don't understand what resolution rate is, which means if you can't properly define the outcome that you want out of the conversation journey that specific agent or human is handling, well, then you don't know if that is success or if that is a failure. So the proper thing to do is, 1, map out all your customer journeys in your company. Start with those who have the most amount of traffic, those who you received the most amount of complaints about, the most amount of chat messages, the most amount of phone calls, so on and so forth. Then work your way down. Once you have all the customer journeys mapped out, try to calculate what is your cost per conversation. You can use that by summing altogether the costs of course, human resources, tools, and anything else that goes into solving those conversations. Then you divide, of course, the cost by the number of conversations. That is easy enough. Once you have that, now you have the most important metric to measure against any system you might implement in your company. And that is cost per conversation, per customer journey, or per department, right? Perhaps conversations in the sales department or commercial department might be more expensive than in the customer support, or vice versa. So it's very important that you have a benchmark before starting out. So this is how you measure ROI. 1, you need to have a baseline. The baseline is, what is your current cost on your operations, on your conversations? Do this for every single channel. Do this for phone calls, inbound and outbound. Do this for web chats. Do this for SMS. Do this even for email. Measure everything across all channels and then get a blended cost per conversation and a cost per conversation per channel, and also direction, initiated by inbound or initiated by outbound. Lastly, then define what is the target outcome for each one of those customer journeys. And then you are ready to start measuring ROI on your AI agents. Without that, it's just like walking blind with no clue on what you're trying to achieve or optimize towards. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.